This is take two. Sorry, something happened earlier and it just ended the earlier broadcast, but it's okay because I hardly went into it. Anyway, hoping you guys, whoever's seeing me live right now on Facebook as well as on YouTube, please say hi. Let me know where you're watching me from. And as the title suggests, I wanted to let you guys know that my husband and I, we found a house and we're actually getting the keys tomorrow. So if you've been realizing that I've been a little bit quiet on social media, that I haven't been doing my videos of late, well, for one, as we get closer to Chinese New Year, this is actually the time of year where my business is the busiest. And so just imagine doubling the workload and the stress and the to-do list on my plate right now, because I'm not just dealing with business, I'm also now dealing with closing on the house, with getting all the documentations, the insurance, all the services, and also doing a renovation in the house. And moving. We are moving end of this month. And those who have followed me, you will know that this will be the second time I move this year. We moved back in March to where we are right now. We knew that was going to be temporary because we knew we were going to be house hunting, but we weren't going to be house hunting in like desperation mode. Well, at least that's what we thought initially. We thought we were just going to take it cool, take it slow, and not rush into anything and not get into bidding wars, which is still a big thing here in Toronto. Real estate is still a little bit crazy right now. So that is, so between business being in the busiest time of the year and everything around the house and the holidays, I'm just trying to keep sane. To be honest with you, I am just trying to hold on to whatever shred of sanity I have left. So it's been very, very interesting the last few weeks, to say the least. Now, some of you are a little bit curious in terms of my, sorry, I'm just looking off the screen because that's where my computer is, and I'm looking just in case there are comments from you guys. Hello, Dong Fam here. Hey, Mitch. And whoever's watching on YouTube, feel free to say hi as well. Hello, Beth. Hi, Susan. Anyway, so on today's impromptu live stream, honestly, I wasn't thinking about doing a video, but my social media manager gently reminded me that I've been a little too quiet, and it's not good for the people who are waiting to hear from me. So if you want to know about my house hunting journey, the ups and downs, as well as how we ended up getting the house that we have now, and also a little announcement towards the end, also house related, that I think you guys, especially if you've been watching my video, I think you guys will really like this. So we started house hunting basically since we moved into this apartment. So we moved in March of this year to this place, a rental, and we knew that was going to be temporary. And so we started looking. We had our perimeters in terms of we didn't want to own a car. So we told our real estate agent that it had to be very, very accessible, like with public transit, close enough to the highways. I honestly Uber everywhere. I take a cab everywhere now. It's just way better than driving, honestly, because here in Toronto, car insurance is high. You have to look for parking and everything. So that's one. And then obviously we had a budget to work with the real estate agent. And Toronto real estate, because we thought, okay, this is going to be our first house. FYI, we always, I won't say hated, but my husband and I, we have always, for years now, resisted the idea of owning our own home. when people tell us that we should be buying a house, we're like, no, we would rather put our money invested elsewhere. And so, yeah, and to be honest, there's still a little bit of part of me where I go like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to be owning a house right now. Like, it's what have I gotten myself into kind of moments. I'm definitely excited to move into the house, but there's definitely moments where I feel safer being a renter. There's less responsibility, less worries, definitely in terms of the roof over my head. Um, anyway, so we started looking, and we thought, okay, since this is our first home, let's go for, something like a smaller house, right? I've always loved small homes anyway. And by the way, in feng shui, you do not want to be in a house that's too big for you. You want a home where almost all the rooms are being used, because it's what's called human chi. So if it's just the two of you and you're in like a 4,000 square foot home, that's actually not good, because there's not enough human chi, human breath, to spread around in that whole house. And there's a school of thought as well that there's also spirits that are more likely to come. This is whether or not you want to believe it, but this is part of the Asian belief, is that if the house is too big for you, then you're likely that the space is going to get taken over by other forms of energy. So anyway, we thought, let's look for a cute little house. I love cute little houses. And we've looked and we put in offers, and there were bidding offers, and there were honestly a couple of greedy homeowners that just overvalued their home to the point where even their real estate agent told our real estate agent that the owner's not going to get the amount that they want. So here's a tip for you guys who want to sell your house and it hasn't been selling and you're wondering if it's feng shui. You might want to ask yourself if you're asking for too much price-wise. And that's usually what I ask people as well when they call me up and they, hey, Safrina, my house is not selling. It's been on the market for a while. My first thing is, okay, does your real estate agent or does the market believe that the price that you're asking is fair? And then obviously the second thing is, what's your location, right? And I've mentioned this before, it needs to be realistic. You can't just think feng shui is going to come in and fix everything. Because I remember when I was apprenticing under my master, we went to a house that was, I believe, is on the market for almost $2 million. That was the listing price, and it has been sitting for a few months. So the client asked for a consult, and I followed along, and then I bumped into the client, and the client said the house is still not sold. And even for me, I didn't know about real estate much, but I remember when I went to that house, just driving down the street with my teacher, all the other homes were like maybe 3, 4, maybe $500,000 homes. Here you are wanting to sell something that's more than $1 million. Again, I'm no real estate expert, but I have heard somewhere that you don't want to be the most expensive house on the street, right? You want to be the cheapest house on the most expensive street, not the other way around. So feng shui or no feng shui, that house is not going to sell unless they bring down the pricing. That's just how it is. But Toronto real estate, the way it is now, it has cooled down a little bit, but in the neighborhoods that we were looking, it was still very competitive. So 6 months in, we were feeling quite frustrated because there were a few that I posted it on Facebook that I really, really, really loved. Feng shui wise, it was going to be really good. The rooms and the location, everything worked really well for the family. So we were already emotionally invested in the house, but we did not get that. That was when, my husband and I, we kind of told ourselves, okay, that was September at that point. And you guys know I was at that point already starting to talk about Feng Shui 2020. So I'm already getting into the busy period in my business. So I told my husband, okay, let's take our foot off the pedal, maybe come back in spring. But again, knowing Toronto market, my husband didn't think that was such a great idea because come spring, the prices are just going to jump up even more. And God knows how, stuff like interest rates or whatever are going to be at that point. So anyway, we cooled off a little bit in our house hunt. And in me having, worked a lot and I needed to relax, me and some of my mommy friends, we went to Niagara Falls for a mommy getaway. And that day, just, the day before, I saw a listing. It's a beautiful home, and my heart skipped a beat. And I asked my husband, hey, have you seen this one? Maybe we should take a look at it. He's like, yeah, I saw it a couple of weeks ago. It was on the market. It had been on the market for a whole month at that point. He said, yeah, I saw it a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't really think much about it. And I said, let's just go to the open house. But the open house, which was on a Sunday, happened to be when I was at Niagara Falls for a mommy getaway. And so I was like, oh, just go with your sister. Just go take a look at it. To be honest, the night before, because I was curious, the night before we actually drove by and I went up to the front of the door with my compass in the cloak of the night. Felt like a little robber at that time. With my compass and took a compass reading to see what the house is facing so that I could at least calculate the feng shui, flying star energy. I didn't have the proper layout, so I couldn't calculate the other advanced feng shui energetically for the house, but at least I have the flying star. And so with that, so Saturday night I took a compass reading, and then Sunday when I was at Niagara Falls, my husband and my sister-in-law went to the open house. And they called me while I was at the wineries, getting quite happy from the wines. My sister-in-law called me up and said, this house is gorgeous. And by the way, because it was on the market for a whole month, that Sunday morning when the open house happened, the price actually dropped by almost $40,000. And so because of the price drop, and my sister-in-law and my husband called me as well, they both fell in love with the house. And they said, let's put an offer. Let's just put an offer on the house right now because the price just went down. It's going to be like a whole bunch of people just, buzzing around this house at this point. And we're like, okay, we told the real estate agent, okay, let's write up the offer. This is what we're going to be offering. These are the conditions that we're going to do. But my real estate agent, God bless her, she was a little bit worried because, Safrina, are you sure you want to buy a house without you seeing it? You're literally buying a house sight unseen. And I said, I trust my husband and I trust my sister-in-law's judgment. The fact that they are so excited about this place because it was bigger than we expected. It's a detached. It's in a very transit accessible location. It's in an up and coming neighborhood. It's still a little rough in the edges, but that's how real estate works, right? You go into the neighborhood that has potential, so you're not paying it's for the ones that's already developed, already gentrified. But that house is in like a quiet street. And in fact, it's in a cul-de-sac. I'm going to put a pin on that because I know a lot of you are going to be freaking out about the cul-de-sac. And I'll tell you why I chose a house with a cul-de-sac. This will be an interesting one. I'm going to put a pin on that. So it's in a quiet street, and it's a very historical area. That neighborhood's probably like 150 years old at least. So our street has a lot of the really old homes, and in fact, my house is about 100 years old. You get the Tudor style houses, you get the Victorian style homes. So it's and even right beside it is a little park that has a memorial for all the fallen soldiers in the World War. It's just, and I love that idea that it's an old, established neighborhood. And my real estate agent and my in-laws, they spoke to the neighbors. Everyone, almost everyone on the street have been there like at least 15 years. So it's like really established families. There's not a lot of coming in and out. Anyway, so what happened was so I came back from Niagara Falls Monday morning, and my agent was ready with the offer, and we were gonna go to the house to present the offer to the owners at 2:00. And so the whole morning, so this is where above and beyond feng shui comes in, you guys, okay? I wanted this house because as far as I could tell from the photos on the listing, there's a sunroom, which is going to be my office, and that is where the strongest money money energy is. So that's perfect. The front door has career progression, so that's great for my husband as well. What else? The side door. So we're actually renovating the basement, and there's a side entrance. The side door is also great for whoever's going to be renting our basement apartment, because that's also another really great career progression energy in there. And for the renovation, we're gonna put in a kitchen down there, and where I'm gonna put the stove is actually like a whole bunch of opportunities are gonna come up that is attracted by that stove that I'm gonna put into our basement. So whoever's going to be renting our apartment, basement apartment, is going to get the whole place as feng shui as I can make it, right? Obviously, there are some structural issues. It would have been better. It would have been like A+ feng shui unit. But down there, it's like really good. I'm doing Flying Star. I'm doing Shen Gong Da Gua. I'm doing 6 methods. I'm doing Qi Men Dun Jia. 4 levels of feng shui in that unit. The same with upstairs as well. And even whoever's house hunting, or if you're not happy with your house currently, there is no such thing as a perfect feng shui home, right? So my office is really great. My stove could be better. Once we actually do the kitchen renovation, I'm going to fix the stove a little bit. Most likely with, obviously, Flying Star, but most likely with Shen Gong Da Gua as well. We have, what else needs work? The upstairs, the second floor where all the bedrooms are, those are fine. We just need to make sure that the beds are placed properly. So that's great. And so feng shui wise, it ticked a lot of the things that we were looking for. Anyway, back to the offer day. In terms of how I got this house. So my real estate agent was going to pick me up at 1:30. And in that whole morning, I said, okay, I'm not going to do any work. I'm going to do my inner feng shui stuff now. So those who are in manifesting code, or those who have heard me talk about manifesting code, or those who have heard me talk about above and beyond feng shui, this is what you do, okay? So in the morning, I did my meditation. I did my visualization. I went into my Akashic record to speak with my Akashic record guide in terms of, is this a good house for us? Is this the right number to be offering for this house? Just to get a sense of anything that we need to tweak. And even I wrote a letter to the owner, and I have a family picture right at the top of the letter. And I said, hi, we're the McLeod family. And we've been looking for a house for a while now, but it's been really, exasperating. But we fell in love with your house. And we hope you choose us. And I took that letter and I infused the letter with love. I'm not going to go into details. You will learn about it in Manifesting Code. But I looked at it and I infused it with love, because that letter is going to be given to the owner when we present the offer. And then with what I call Chinese law of attraction, which is another thing that we delve into, is to sit in certain directions with your back facing certain directions, to ask for certain deities. So I looked at the energy of the hour of that day, of that specific hour. It's increments of 2 hours, right? but at that specific moment, where are the deities presenting, in which direction? So when I sat and I did my prayer of sorts, so I did a prayer to the deities, I did my prayer, asking for assistance from the angels. I did a candle ritual with my back to specific directions. I infused the candle with my money essential oils, which we also cover in Manifesting Code. I cleansed the space prior to that to make sure that the energy is as heightened as possible. I also burned essential oils that also help me tap into the higher realm energies so that I get clearer messages. And so I did specifically one meditation visualization asking for help with the offer, one meditation and visualization asking to have a connection, build a connection with the owner, and then one meditation and visualization in terms of if this is the right investment for us, let it come through. And I tell my Manifesting Code people all the time, as much as we want something, always end with this or something better. Because the other homes that we put an offer in, we really loved that homes as well. Like I mentioned before, we were emotionally invested. But we don't know what is our highest and best good house. So even with this one, I said, if this house is not for our highest and best good, let that deal fall apart. And so you guys are, everyone's just listening, right? I haven't seen any new comments, by the way. Anyway, so yeah, I spent a good 3 hours, I think about 10 o'clock till noon. I took a break at noon to take lunch, and then I had a little bit of time to fit in my third meditation visualization. I actually did 2 candle rituals because I didn't want to leave it to chance. And then 1:30 came and my real estate agent came to pick me up and we went to the house. So, oops.